could do this at a later date, but can you give us a report on how many resignations there's been since August to now? Thank you. Any other questions? Oh, sorry. Round the roll call, please.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Williams?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Hernandez on.
Oh, sorry, one question. Can I even vote on this if there's going to be a? Yes. Next, we'll have the approval of Linda Randolph contract, Superintendent Wright.
Yes, this contract is for Linda Randolph. She's going to be providing services to our special education department. She's going to be working closely with Tammy Pohl. Is Tammy? Right here. Oh, Tammy, did you want to say something after I finish? So she's going to be working with Tammy Pohl in our special education department. This contract is being paid out of title funds. And Tammy, if you would like to say anything, please make sure you can.
Yes, Ms. Randolph will be coming in, working with our team to see, just making sure, reviewing our program, doing somewhat of an audit to see what we can always improve, we can always do better, wanting to make sure that we're providing the services, having the procedures in place so that we're running a well-oiled machine. Thank you.
What is the pleasure of the board?
Madam President, I make a motion for approval for Linda Randolph's contract.
Trustee Smith makes a motion for approval.
I'll second that motion.
Trustee Rodriguez seconds the motion. Any questions? Round roll call, please. I'm sorry.
I just want to ask our attorney, I see his name is here. You also viewed it?
Yes, I drafted the contract. It is our new standard form of contract. So it does adequately protect the interests of the district.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Williams?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Hernandez on.
Yes. Item number 5, adoption of school budget resolution 2020-2 for appropriations and tax rates. Is that Ms. Simmons or is that Ms. Wright?
Yes, Ms. Simmons.
Yes, we are going, I'm sorry. The final budget adoption for 2021's adoption. This is the budget that we're going for 2021 to have the appropriation and the tax rate approved. What is the pleasure of the board?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve.
Trustee Jones makes a motion for approval.
I'll second that motion.
Trustee Rodriguez seconds the motion. Any questions? I just want to reiterate, we did all the proper procedures for the budget. We had a meeting last week, so it's all on record and we can move forward.
Correct.
Perfect. Any other questions? On a roll call, please.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Williams?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Hernandez on.
Yes. Item number 6, approval of resolution 2020-3 to adopt the capital project fund plan. Ms. Simmons? This is the resolution to adopt our capital project plan for 2021. This is the projects that will go out as far as capital. What is the pleasure of the board?
Madam President, I move to approve. Make a motion to approve.
Trustee Rodriguez moves to approve the motion.
I'll second that motion.
Trustee Jones seconds the motion. Are there any questions? Round of roll call, please.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Williams?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Hernandez on.
Yes. Item number 7, approval of resolution 2020-4 to adopt bus replacement plan. Superintendent Wright? This is the 2020.
Oh,
I'm sorry. The 2021 bus replacement plan. This is our plan to replace any buses in the district in 2021. I'm sorry, what is the pleasure of the board?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve the resolution 2020-4.
Trustee Rodriguez makes a motion for approval.
I'll second that motion.
Mr. Doctor, she would like for you to move so that Stacy can sit right here what this right shot say. People on the outside too. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that motion.
Trustee Jones seconds the motion. Yes, oh, I'm sorry. Any questions? Run roll call, please.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Williams?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Hernandez on.
Yes, next we'll have superintendent remarks.
Yes, the first superintendent's remarks is, today we started our student-teacher check-in. Today was the pre-K and the K. I didn't receive any phone calls, so I'm assuming that it went well. The purpose of the teacher-student check-in is for a couple reasons. A, we want students in the building. Two, we want to do a test run in case the students come back to school. Three, we wanted the teachers to just check in with their teachers. We know that our teachers are meeting every day with our students, but we wanted the students to actually come into the buildings and possibly see their other friends and their colleagues and just kind of get the student feel. So today was pre-K and K. Tomorrow is pre-K and K. Wednesday is the big day. That's when the entire district will come into the buildings. Wednesday, these will be students whose last name end in A through M. It's voluntarily. Students do not have to attend if they choose not to. We will be providing bus transportation, lunch, and teachers will be providing instruction. Then Thursday, the teachers will work from home because maintenance will go into the classrooms and clean the classrooms. And on Friday, those students with last names N through Z will come into the buildings, and they would also meet with their teachers and do the same thing that the kids on Wednesday did. So once again, our purpose for this is a test run, and we just want to see what happens in the event that we miss something. I don't think we did. But in the event that we miss something, we have an opportunity to correct our errors. And then on next Wednesday, then the high school students will come in. So the reason why we had to do it on 2 different days for the high school students is because Wednesdays are the only days that the high school students see all their teachers because they're on a block schedule. So high school is 2 consecutive Wednesdays, whereas the I lost my train of thought, I'm sorry. So we're doing 2 consecutive days because on high school, because that's the only time that they see their teachers throughout the whole day. The other days, they're on block scheduling. So we're asking parents to participate. We're going to make sure that the kids are safe. They're going to wear masks. They are going to be sitting 6 feet apart, as you all are. We measured. We pulled out the ruler. And we made sure that we measured front and back to ensure that each of you all are 6 feet apart. Our teachers will do the same. Right now, we have about 50% of our kids who have decided that they're going to participate. So another reason why we want to do this, we want the teachers to feel a little bit more comfortable with the kids coming into the building before second grading period, if that's the plan that we choose to use. So we want the teachers to understand what it's going to look like. These are the procedures. These are the policies that's going to take place. So I will be back next week to give you all an update on the good, the bad, and the indifferent. If there's any bad, I doubt it. But I'll give you an update next week on how this goes. So we're asking that you please participate.
Next, we'll have any trustee remarks. Anyone? I do want to apologize again for being in this room. We did ask to be at Central High School, but unfortunately, or the board actually asked to be at Central High School. Unfortunately, that did not work out because we wanted everyone to be able to be in one area because realistically, community members, teachers, students, staff. We're all working together to make sure to get this done. So that's why we wanted the community to be all together. Hopefully, if the next meeting turns out to be like that, we're able to get there. I also want to make mention to one very important thing. We do have sports that are still going on, and with all the craziness that's going on with COVID, our sectional boys tennis team did win sectional champs. They are 11-0, so congratulations to them for fighting through everything and still winning the sectional champ. So, they played, if I'm not mistaken, on tomorrow or today in for regionals. Any other trustees? The next item that we have is public comment, public forum. And the public forum for this, I don't know who signed up, but if you have questions in regard to the COVID plan, I think that would be for the work session. And if you have anything regarding the meeting at this point, then we'll address,
Or generally.
Okay.
Yeah, or generally. So this particular public forum is an opportunity for the public or any attendees to speak their opinion, have communication with the board and the staff. If it's with respect to anything on the agenda or anything generally, it would be appropriate for this public forum. But if you signed up with the thought in mind that you wanted to speak to the COVID plan, that will come in the work session that's after this meeting. With that being said, would ask that when you do step to this podium, you state your name and address, limit your comment to 3 minutes. Please be respectful to all the other attendees, to the board members and to the staff, and please refrain from addressing any personnel matters. Thank you.
Up first will be D'Angelo Coles.
My name is D'Angelo Coles, 4119 Archive, born and raised in East Chicago. I'm here speaking on behalf of the educators. Our educators are not feeling happy-go-lucky. It's the simplest way to put it. They're feeling undervalued. When they have concerns, the concerns are not being responded upon back to our staff members. Our staff members have concerns about what's going on with the students coming back into the building. One thing I definitely want you guys to understand, that if we lose any good staff members, we're doing a disservice to our city. And without our teachers, we want to keep our educators here in this city because we need them. They're doing an excellent job, and we want them to continue to do what they've been doing. But when somebody feels undervalued, they start to look elsewhere. If we lose any good teachers, we're doing a disservice to our students. And if this is about the best interest of our kids, then we need to start paying attention to what our staff has to say. I would recommend that our board and our staff members and the representative of our staff members meet together and try to meet our staff members halfway. I know things are going to be difficult to make certain decisions, but it's important that everybody is heard because their voices are being silenced, and they are ready to speak out and let you guys know how they feel, because they're the ones that are in the trenches right now. And if you guys are not in the trenches, then you will not understand what they're going through. As an educator, it's very important that we are heard and that we can sit down at a table and try to make a plan that works for everybody. That is my concern. That is our educators' concern. So with that being said, peace and love to you all.
Up next will be Christina Guerrero White Williams.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Wright, and all other community stakeholders. My name is Christina Guerrero White Williams. I, too, am a resident of East Chicago, born and raised. In the past, I've written emails, sat in this space for meetings, and even watched virtually. But today I come before you to speak on the concerns of parents, students, and educators regarding the reopening of schools. I believe everyone here will agree that no one was prepared for the devastation and changes presented by COVID-19. We can all agree that everyone is managing their personal and professional lives as best as possible given these uncertain times. We can all agree that the safety of the students, teachers, and all other faculty is a priority. We can all agree that our children learn best with in-person education. Yet, with all the things that we can agree upon, there is a disconnect. It is imperative that we get students back into the classroom. However, this must be done safely and with the appropriate support. As a school board of trustees comes a great responsibility to students, parents, educators, and the community at large. And currently, those expectations are not being met. The lack of transparency, the lack of communication, and the lack of clarity has created a great deal of uncertainty. A framework for reopening schools should be posted clearly on the SCEC website and all of the schools' public websites. This will ensure that it is easily located and accessible by students, parents, teachers, administrators, and other community stakeholders. This plan should be posted with enough notice so that any questions or concerns can be resolved proactively and not reactively. This will allow parents to have conversations and practice expectations with their children before they arrive at school. This will allow teachers to create classroom plans and also have conversations with their students. This board has not sufficiently addressed the needs of maintenance and facilities. You haven't shared any changes, if any, with the cafeteria and food service. Is there a plan on the website that specifies the cleaning and safety protocols for buildings and transportation? What supports and programs are in place to deal with the social emotional well-being of students and staff? None of these things are clear. We know that reopening is going to look different post-COVID. What the community is asking for is a comprehensive plan of what differences are going to be. Until you address those concerns openly and honestly with input from those at stake, there will continue to be a lack of confidence in this board's ability to lead the district to success. That is all. Thank you.
Up next will be Mrs. Patty.
Good evening, Patty Gibson King, 4102 Parish Avenue, East Chicago, Indiana. I do believe that, Counselor, you said the COVID plan would be available next school board meeting?
In the work session immediately following.
Okay, that's what I wanted to speak about that. So since it's not going to be here to that period of time. And also, I was going to request also, since you requested it already, Vanessa, the teachers that have, a list of the teachers that have resigned since August. So I would like to have a copy of that as well. Okay, thank you.
Up next will be Mrs. Paulette Tapper.
I'm Paulette Tapper, 29 Warren Street, Hammond, Indiana. I addressed you last week with some concerns, but 3 minutes wasn't enough. My worry is, as you're looking into this planning session, which is about to happen, and this could have been handled during the work session, or I think it's also appropriate now, is that as we prepare to return to learn, I'm not sure parents understand what we're returning to. I believe parents think we are returning to what school looked like in February or in the 2 weeks that preceded our departure in March. I think parents do not understand that their children will be seated virtually like you are, with spacing between them, with little to no communication with their peers, to remain in masks all day long, to be eating their breakfast and their lunch within the classroom, to be called one by one to collect their garbage, to not leave the room for specials such as STEM and gym and art, that those are to push into them, that for their gym classes, they're to be done without equipment because they can't share the balls. I am a STEM teacher. They cannot collaborate and share materials, so it's going to be very hard to teach classes where each child must have their own materials. We've been working so hard on SEL and telling children to share and communicate and cooperate, and now we're telling them you can't share. That nifty scented hand sanitizer you brought from home, we don't want you to share that with your friend because you may be passing germs along with the hand sanitizer. So I know that in-person instruction is preferred, but I don't think necessarily the public is aware of how different in-person instruction must look for it to occur safely at this time. And so I just wanted to let parents know that if they are thinking that they are walking back into what it looked like in February or early March, that is not what it can look like today. Thank you for your time.
Up next will be Kenny Moreau.
The work session.
That ends it.
The next date and time for our public meeting will be announced on our website as we're trying to work through the work session today. So we haven't correlated our schedules. So it will be on our website probably next week. Friday, we should be able to, that's sufficient enough for everyone to correlate the schedules. Is that okay, board? And we apologize because of the change in meetings, but the only reason we're changing the meetings is because we called for the work session today and to adopt the plan at a later date since there were concerns from teachers and we're addressing that. I'm sorry, can I have a motion for adjournment?
Madam President,
Trustee
make a motion to
Rodriguez?
adjourn?
Trustee Rodriguez motions to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
Trustee Jones seconds the motion. On roll call, please.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Williams?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Hernandez on.
Yes.
It's out there.
I just need to make sure Kenny's name is on that one.
So now we're gonna open up we're gonna start the work session, and it is 6:40, so I just wanted to put the time. And the work session is going to go as follows per our attorney.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a brief overview. It's not intended for this to have a lot of structure necessarily, but instead, the board and the superintendent wanted to have an opportunity to explain this plan to the public and afford an opportunity to have some dialogue tonight. Primarily, what you'll see is a comprehensive overview of the plan. There will be an opportunity for anyone who signed up to ask questions or provide comments. Any answers or feedback that can't be given tonight, the superintendent will make sure that those responses are posted on the website shortly after the meeting. So we just want to make sure that the public understands that's the purpose of being here. There were some concerns expressed in our regular session just immediately prior to this regarding, these strange times that we're in and the legitimate concern that everyone has. But this work session is an indication that both the board and the superintendent do have a desire to hear feedback from the public and do want to engage the public to make sure that the public is an active participant in this process. That's what tonight is for. Any comments you have, now is the time to do it. Not that it's the only time. If you ever wanted to email the superintendent or the board, you can do that as well. But tonight is reserved specifically for this purpose. So with that, Superintendent Wright?
Good evening. So today, we're going to talk about the return to learn. I have some some special guests who have been working with me in the last 4 months since COVID. I have invited them to come to the meeting. So, return to learn. So, we're going to take a look at some data. I know we went over data last week, but many of you probably was not here. So I just want to start this off first with you by looking at a little data.
This, is this also being shared on the live stream? It's being shared? Okay.
Was it down here? There it is. Okay. Push. I think he set it up correctly. Okay, so the Return to Learn program, Return to Learn. So we're going to talk we're having some technical difficulties. I'm sure we'll get this running quickly. Return to Learn program. So,
Oh, go ahead. Were you gonna wait, or, because I did have a question prior to the Return to Learn plan about this.
okay, we just got to keep clicking it. Okay, just stay here.
Ms. Wright, I have a question since
Go
you're
ahead,
working on it.
sure.
So with the check-ins for the high school, I think I sent that to you the other day. We talked about this. How did students know that they had to come in early on Wednesday since it's late start and they're not coming in late? Because I know, and I actually went back to check my child's teacher and I talked to my child and I asked if my child's teacher asked to, if they were coming in, as well as they're supposed to, because you explained that all fifth-hour teachers were supposed to let students know that they were coming in early on that Wednesday, because it's usually late start Wednesday. So can you explain how that went for all of our students and how what our teachers did?
It was on the school website. So on the school website, it told the students what time they are to report to school. It's going to be a normal school day from 7:30 until 2:30, even though it's on Wednesday. So it's on the school website. And also, Mr. Brown sent out robocalls.
Can we make sure to try to email? And I think it is a good idea. And a teacher actually was the one who brought it to my attention. But the teachers are the ones that have the most connection with the student. We probably need to have them be the ones contact them, because they're the ones who know who's actually going to come in. Because is that correct? We asked the fifth-hour teacher to find out they're coming in or not?
I'm not sure how the high school conducted that. Mr. Brown is outside. I just gave the guidelines, and once I provide the guidelines, I don't micromanage individual buildings. I let the individual buildings decide how they are going to communicate with the parents. So I gave the guidelines.
What was
and
the guidelines for that?
The guidelines is that for the high school, this regular work school day will be 7:30 until 2:30.
Oh, you
So
didn't set
how they communicated that was a building level decision, besides us posting it on the school website and by Ms. Sylvia Alvarez conducting robocalls like several times.
So all building administrators had to decide how
No.
to let,
No.
just at the high school?
No, all building administrators have their own venue for communication. Ms. Goods and I provided the guidelines, how they communicated that via robocall from the building, not district-wide, school websites, school phone calls. That was a building level decision.
Mr. Brown just notified me that emails went out through Canvas today
Okay,
to parents.
okay. Okay, so return to learn. So we're ready to move. Okay, so I know you all saw this data last week, but many of you all were not here, so I just wanted us to take a look at this data again. iLearn data is the data that came from our Indiana State assessment that we took in the spring of 2019. We did not take any assessments this spring because we we're facing a pandemic. So this is what our data looks like. When we look, iLearn was grades 3 through 8 took the iLearn test, and grades 10 took the iStep test. So this is the data from the iLearn for spring 2019. I want you all to take that in. I want you to take a look at it. Next, once again, we discussed this last week, but once again, many of you all were not here. So I think it's important before we begin to talk or discuss a plan, we need to know what we're working with. These are the school grades. So here's a little overview. So on June 5th, the Indiana Department of Education released considerations for learning and safe schools. That was called the N-Class. They sent that out to all the building administrators and all of the educators in the state of Indiana. It gave us guidance on how to reopen school. It was a 40-page document. So I believe it was on a Friday, June 5th, I believe that was on a Friday. So immediately, I developed a COVID reentry committee. This COVID reentry committee consisted of all my building administrators and the union. The union, I asked the union to develop, to bring about 4 or 5 members from the union team, and they sat in on countless hours of meetings with this reentry COVID team. So we had meeting dates on June 15th, June 16th, and June 30th. On July 6th, the board approved the School City of East Chicago Return to Learn plan. Here it is right here. This plan was approved. This plan consisted of a red plan, a green plan, and a yellow plan that was all discussed at the school board meeting on June 6th. So we had a plan. This plan was also posted on the school website for a couple weeks, I believe. We had a plan. In addition, Ms. Goods and I did 2 or 3, 4 videos about the plan. We had a plan. On July 21st, the union wrote several questions to me about the Return to Learn plan, and we addressed each and every question that they asked us. We had a plan. Once we started looking at data, the end of July, we decided, wow, the COVID cases were upticking. There was an uptick in the amount of COVID cases. Other districts started to pull out and said, and they were stating that they were going to have they were going red, which was written in this plan that was board approved July 6th. So we, Ms. Goods and I, then developed a red plan. So August 3rd, at the August 3rd board meeting, Ms. Goods conducted a presentation on the red plan. So if you all want to go back and look at some of the old YouTube School City of East Chicago board meetings, the red plan, which was included in this, was explained. Then the board approved the red plan. We had a plan. So when the board approved the red plan stated that we were going to go virtual for the first grading period. The first grading period is not over yet, so therefore, we are now planning for the green stage in the plan. So, the red plan was developed to ensure optimal safety for all teachers. Teachers worked independently in their rooms, and all faculty meetings were via Zoom. So, in the red plan, teachers were instructed to go in their rooms, work individually, conduct their lessons, and all meetings were via Zoom. Therefore, it's quite conceivable, and the plan was written whereas a teacher could walk into a building, walk into their classroom, teach their lessons, and leave. That was the red plan. Therefore, in the red plan, a teacher did not have to congregate with other teachers. The teachers did not have to eat with other teachers. The teachers worked in isolation. Any meetings that they conducted could have been done via Zoom. That was the red plan. At this time, no students or visitors were allowed in the building. Now, I do know for a fact that we did have some cases, and we made sure that we dealt with those cases appropriately, professionally, and privately. But once again, the teachers that were in the buildings were allowed to work in isolation. So much so, we had the paras that were in the buildings. They didn't even have to work in the classrooms with the teachers. So, I did some little comparative analysis on data. So let's look at the attendance rate. This was the attendance rate last year, this time, when students were in school every day. The attendance rate was 94.51, and this data was pulled today, this morning. In 2021, right now, our attendance rate is 81.18. So if students don't log in, they're counted absent. Last year this time, sorry, I got busy. Last year this time, we had 1,079 Fs, and I believe the number now is like 4,300. If the students do not log in and complete their assignments, then they're A, marked absent, and 2, they do not get grades. I'll get that 2020 number for you. I'll get that 2020 number for you in a few minutes. So, in addition, in August, by August 1st, all parents had to register their kids. And when parents registered their kids, we gave them the option, did they want to go virtual or did they want to go traditional? And we gave the parents an option. So, Central has, I'm just going to read it to you a little bit. Central has 1,100 students. Right now, 531 has decided to go remote, and 373 are traditional. And the unknown meaning that those parents have not declared whether they want traditional or remote. So the likelihood is that those kids, if we were to go to the green plan, those kids will be pushed into traditional. Because what we cannot have happen is kids flip-flopping in and out of traditional versus remote. So right now, totals, 352 students, 1,900 students have declared to go remote, and 1,200 are traditional, with another 371 who have not declared. And we told the parents that if they did not declare what mode of transportation, that we were going to make sure that they were traditional. So those kids, if we were to go to the green plan, those kids will move into the traditional. So the way we see it is maybe approximately 60% of our kids will go remote and 40% may go traditional if the green plan is board approved. So the green plan, how would this instructional framework will look? Right now with the red plan, as you all know, kids are getting all their lessons remotely. The teachers have to provide live instruction. They have to make sure that they're doing conferencing with the students. They have to make sure that they're doing a check-in. But if we were to move to the green plan, teachers will be responsible for teaching both their virtual and their traditional students. Administration will be providing professional development the next week for teachers. We want to show them what will this look like. How would a teacher teach both virtually and traditionally? The virtual students will continue with Canvas, while the traditional students will have face-to-face instruction with virtual lessons embedded in their day-to-day work.
So, Ms. Wright, just to go back to this, I know we talked about it at one point where we were gonna have certain teachers do the virtual.
We discussed that, so I'll discuss that at the end of the presentation. Yes, we discussed that last Friday.
So it's not gonna look like this then, how it's on there?
Likely not. So let me reiterate, last Friday, we spent 5 hours with the building administrators, and we included the union president in on our discussion. We have had several discussions, even though I didn't list the dates. We have had several discussions about the plan for October 19th that's in this plan. But Friday was one of those very, very long meetings, but Ms. Goods and I have been meeting with the building principals to discuss how our possible green plan will look, should we go to the green plan. High-risk teachers. So, I belong to a superintendent's group, the superintendent from Crown Point, the superintendent from Lake Central, the superintendent from Munster, the superintendents from Portage, the superintendent from Whiting. We have a group, and we discuss issues regularly. At least once a month we meet. But more important, we are always emailing each other because we all are facing the same issues. So, the question was posed to them about high-risk teachers. What are you doing? So I'm going to read it to you. I left off their names because I didn't want to include their names, but one district said, we had them take a 1-year discretionary leave. Then we opened up some e-learning only sections for elementary. We offered 2 of them the job from home. Others were e-learning from school, and none took us up on the offer. Number 2, anyone who would be considered high risk was given a plexiglass barrier for the classroom desk and any additional PPE they requested. When my teachers union brought it up to me in the summer during discussions about our reentry plan, this was the statement I provided to them. Allowing a teacher to teach remotely from home does not allow them to fulfill all of the essential functions of a teacher: classroom and hallway monitoring, discipline providing, one-on-one intervention and help to students, and it puts an undue hardship on the district in a time when there is extra financial strain from COVID-19 costs and needs, along with potential loss of ADM by having to find and hire an additional paraprofessional to supervise the students physically in the room. I'm not going to continue to read, but you all can read that. Number 3, another district said, our high-risk teachers are working as other teachers are doing, in person and on campus. If they do not want to do this, they are taking FMLA time or retire. Another district says, we do not permit medically high-risk teachers to telework. We only had 1, and she took leave under FMLA. Our high-risk teachers at Height are taking discretionary year-long leaves.
Ms. Wright, question, all these individuals that you spoke to, do they have our numbers?
Oh, they pretty much, yes.
Dr. Brown?
Okay. Can I finish my presentation first? Can I finish my presentation first, please?
Dr. Brownie, is that, you not hear? You say it again? Dr. Brownie, question. East Chicago numbers, they're higher than other Lake County numbers, correct? We're the highest?
Mr. Brownie, can you come up so everyone can hear you if you're gonna talk? He can use the mic. He can use the mic over there.
Good evening. I'm sorry, now, what was your question?
Ms. Wright said, she compared it, I know we're going through the plan, but she compared other school districts with what we have basically here. So that, what they're doing with the high-risk individuals, yet our numbers happen to be different from different schools within Lake County. Am I correct in saying that? Our East Chicago in Lake County ranks where?
I'm not familiar with the other
School
districts in Lake County.
Can you please tell them who you got your quotes from? Oh, you're not sure with their numbers?
No.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I was just trying to make the comparison, as in, I understand that you're trying to make the comparison with these other school districts, but at the same time, those school districts do not have our numbers. And I feel our empathy for individuals inside the classroom might need to be just a little bit different. That was my point. So that's why I asked Dr. Browning to let us know if he knew what the other numbers were. That was all.
No.
Sorry, Dr. Browning, I thought you might have had that data.
No.
It's okay.
And it's very difficult to know. I don't know how they're getting their numbers because the state provides numbers for the city of East Chicago because we have our own health department. And they provide numbers for the city of Gary because we're the only two cities left in the state with health departments. Otherwise, the data comes to the Lake County Health Department, which encompasses East Chicago, Gary, Hammond, all the areas within the county. Okay. So it's tough to parse that out. Right. So I would have no idea, and it is interesting to know how the different school districts are getting any numbers that they can work with, and the state must have a way of figuring that out. But it's been a struggle to find out some of that kind of information.
Yeah, thank you very much. But again, just trying to make the comparison, since you are making the comparison, Ms. Wright, I just wanted to see where we all lie together. That was all.
So this morning, Ms. Bobo, our COVID nurse, and Mr. Doctor, we went through every single piece of document that teachers submitted that claimed that they were high risk. And we have a plan for those teachers. And based on us going through and her professional experience, we determined that we have approximately 2 high-risk, really high-risk teachers, and we have about, 4 high-risk teachers and 4 possibles. So we are working with those teachers to make sure that we protect them, but we did actually, we spent the hour. Is Ms. Bobo out there? I know I showed her. Ms. Bobo? We spent an hour and a half going through the list. Mr. Doctor, we spent an hour and a half going through the list to make sure that we address those concerns. We went through every single piece of document. Do you want to talk about how we went through the high-risk category?
Ms. Wright, before she starts, I had a number here, but I might have confused it. You said 4 high risk, or was it a total of 8?
4 high risk and 4 possibles, but she'll explain.
So a total of 8.
Yes.
Total of 8, correct. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Nurse Bobo. I'm a registered nurse. I work at Central High School, and I'm also the COVID coordinator. As Ms. Wright said, we did look at all of the requests that came in from all teachers and non-teaching staff. So of those, I think, how many? 30-something. It might have been 30-something. We came out with 8. 4 definite, that needs to be able to work virtually, and 4 that we will consider. Okay?
So I use her professional experience. It wasn't me. I'm an educator, not a nurse. So she went through the list to determine our high-risk teachers. So we do have a plan for addressing those high-risk teachers. Mitigating issues. So if we were to go to the green plan, we're asking that the parents do a few things. One, home self-assessment. We're going to give each kid a COVID care case with a thermometer. And in that thermometer, we're asking that every parent self-assess those kids before they come to school. We're asking if the kid has a temperature, please keep them at home. Far as masks, we have 5,000 masks sitting somewhere in this building, but we have more than enough masks to give a kid if the kid leaves home without a mask. Also, the buses will have disposable masks, very similar to this one right here. So if a kid shows up, tries to get on the bus, we're going to make sure that we give that kid a mask. So we do have several masks. We have an interest plan. In the interest plan, which is written in this plan, in the interest plan, kids will enter through 3 or 4 different doors. They will enter through a walker's door, a bus rider's door, and a parent drop-off door. So we want to make sure that kids are entering the buildings through 3 different doors based on their mode of transportation. At each door, there will be a pump, a sanitation pump. Kids can get sanitizer, pump their heads, and move throughout the building. Breakfast and lunch at the middle school and the elementary schools will be provided in the classroom. Sodexo will deliver the breakfast and the lunch. When kids finish eating, they will pick up their, Sodexo will pick up their trash, and they will take the trash and dispose it. Each building has a bathroom break schedule. So that means that when the elementary kids have to use the bathroom, there's a schedule that the building principal provided that maintenance will have. After kids use the bathroom based on their schedule, maintenance will go into the bathrooms and make sure that they sanitize their bathrooms. So building principals will or do have a bathroom break schedule. Dismissal will look very similar to entrance or the start of the day. Kids, walkers leave out of one building, bus riders leave out of a particular building, and pickups leave out of a particular building at staggered times. Maintenance. Maintenance, once again, I don't know if you go around and you check some of the bathrooms right now, we have a cleaning log on the bathrooms. So the cleaning log indicates to everyone when the last time that bathroom was sanitized and cleaned. Same with the elementary and the middle schools and the high schools. We're also going to make sure that they have cleaning logs. It will be the building principals and the teachers, the building principals' responsibility, but I'm sure teachers will look at the cleaning log to determine if the bathroom hasn't been cleaned in a certain period of time. Transportation, I've been working very diligently with Mr. Garcia. Kids, before they get on the bus, we take their temperature. They must wear a mask, and they take a seat. They must keep their mask on while they're on the bus. If it's a nice day, we're encouraging the bus drivers to let the windows open because the air circulation is good for the kids. All teachers will arrange their desk in the same manner that you all are. Straightforward, 6 feet apart, each way and back. As I stated earlier, we pulled out a ruler to make sure that we measure 6 feet apart. Now, with approximately 40% of our kids coming in for in-person instruction, I don't foresee that being a problem. I don't foresee that being a problem whereas our kids cannot social distance in a classroom. All desks will be faced forward, no small group instruction, no kids can be congregating around a particular desk because we want to make sure that the kids are social distancing. Also, once again, our current COVID-19 nurse, you just met her, Ms. Bobo. Ms. Bobo has been involved since August in a weekly meeting with all the building principals and sometimes the union. And what the building principals do, they just discuss out different concerns about COVID-19, if there was an issue in the building, hypotheticals, questions. So Ms. Bobo, as the COVID-19 nurse, she takes out time to make sure that she meets with the building principals. She also works closely with the health department. So even though I'm not picking up the phone every day calling Dr. Browning and Diana Burns, she is working closely with them, and she translates that information to Ms. Goods and I. We also will have a specific email for Ms. Bobo, COVID-19 nurse at ecps.org. So if we have any COVID-related questions, rather than flood her email with just random things, we have a specific COVID-19 email that would address any questions that we may have. Local health department, I know that there was an issue between who supersedes what. It was written that some people didn't know whether to follow the CDC guidelines or the local health department. Mr. Browning, I hate to put you on the spot again, but is it possible that you can address that, the difference between the local health department and the CDC?
Well, so all guidance that the East Chicago Health Department follows is based on CDC guidance. I think that we have had to consider who we're giving guidance to as a health department. There are differences between general public and essential workers, and how you apply that guidance. Basic guidance is the same for everybody, but when you're talking about different employed situations, essential workers, non-essential workers, there are different applications and interpretations, and so you have to consider. There's always individual things, like you talked about the individuals who are high risk, and that's it's not difficult to become identified as a high-risk individual working as an essential worker in this environment. At the same time, there are all sorts of different considerations, the structural considerations of a building where you work, the number of people, the practical consideration for distancing, and then those unavoidable times, and I think we all know what these are, no matter how you may have people spaced out when they're sitting, when it's time to get up and ambulate and go to different locations, it's unavoidable. People are going to come closer. It's just the way of the world, and I don't know how to fix that on any given day. And then if you're talking about adults and children, we all do it the same way. You'll just gravitate to somebody. It's human behavior. At the same time, I think that, it's going to involve a lot of still basic things, no touching, no hugging, and hand sanitizing and hand washing is just the way we live. And then again, paying attention to our individual spaces, whether it's our desk where we work or the desk where the students sit. Those areas have to be constantly sanitized. And same thing with eating, before you eat, after you eat. there's so many variables with this thing, but people, we have to adapt ourselves and be very open to all the possibilities of things we have to do to protect ourselves, protect our children, protect our future. Because we're still quite in the midst of this. And if you've looked at the numbers in Indiana, we're red flagged, we're going up. It's not getting better. So I don't know if I have, anything more general to say. If you have a more specific question, I can try to answer that. But, I understand how difficult this is. But, in my work environment, my full-time job, the health department is a part-time job for me, but I work in a clinic where there are other doctors, nurse practitioners, and we take care of all of our patients, our Medicare patients, so they're seniors. And so, I'm head to toe, gown, gloves. In certain situations, I've got boots on, I've got a clear shield, and it's all day, and I'm in and out of this PPE all day. And that's the way we're going to have to live. I've been wearing PPE all my medical career, 40 years, but I've never had to go in examining patients looking like, I'm wrapped like a mummy, and you do that in certain circumstances, but not every single patient. So it's a different circumstance, and yet I have to adapt. I can go in there without it and end up somewhere I don't want to be, or I can do what I got to do. So I think that's kind of what I'm trying to say to everybody is we have to be extremely flexible and adaptable to survive this situation.
Okay, so question number 4, and this was a question that has come up regularly with the union and the teachers. So if a student tests positive for COVID, that's with anyone, we quarantine. The health department will conduct the contact tracing, and the students who are considered close contacts will be quarantined for at least 10 days. Any student that's quarantined will be automatically moved to e-learning. So if little Johnny tests positive and he's a traditional student, because we don't want him to miss out on valuable instruction, he automatically moves over to the e-learning portal. And then after his quarantine period, he goes back to the traditional setting. If more than 2 students test positive, I think the norm is that we quarantine the entire class. Who does contact tracing? The East Chicago Health Department. What happens if a student is sick in school? So talking to my peers that have already gone back to school, they said that this happens a lot. And what happens is if Johnny comes down to the office and he has a sore throat and a runny nose, everybody's running. Johnny has allergies. So what had happened was every time that happened, the schools were sending little Johnny home until mom brought a note to school to say that he has allergies. But our first line of defense will be to send the kids home, and we will encourage the parents to seek guidance, okay? Every other day I have a sore throat. It's just I talk too much. Okay, question number 4. If someone in your home has tested positive, I think the norm is that we quarantine. I mean, most of us don't have the luxury of having a house so big that someone can go in the basement and live for 10 days and not come in contact with the rest of the family. So if someone tests positive, that's pretty much a given. How will families be notified of a positive COVID case? We're going to notify the entire family and the building of a positive case. Once again, with FERPA laws, we cannot tell you the name of the student. We can't tell you the name of the teacher. It's even becoming very difficult to tell you the class, because everyone can figure out, okay, well, Johnny's not here today, and Ms. Jones had a COVID case, so it must be Johnny. So we have to be very careful when we start identifying who tested positive. Can we ask teachers to assist with cleaning desks? I said yes. We're not asking them to do maintenance work, but if we're asking teachers to spray the desk and let the kids wipe off the desk, I think I don't think that's a lot to ask. So, all questions submitted by the union have been answered either in this PowerPoint presentations or in our meetings. If you have further questions not answered, please submit them to our assistant superintendent and/or you can come up to the podium and you can ask questions as such. If we do not know the answer, then we will make sure that we get the answer to you as Mr. Attorney Harris stated. But the purpose right now is to ask for you all to ask questions. Of course, we are going to take all your suggestions, all your information into consideration, whether I make the recommendation to stay red or I make the recommendation to go green. We're also going to make sure that we look at data. We're going to look at staffing needs. This is going to be a collaborative effort. A decision will not be made in isolation. But what I will say, I'm going to make a decision that's in the best interest of kids first. I always do. I always will. I'm going to make a decision. My recommendation will be made in the best interest of our kids. So, without further ado, if you have any questions, here's the number. Okay, so going back. I got distracted doing some other things while I was doing a PowerPoint presentation. Pardon me? Did I pass it already? Okay. Sorry about that, guys. I got distracted like I normally do. Okay, so for Central 2020, the number of Fs were first quarter were 4,352. 4,352 Fs. That's at Central and Block. Now, we could not calculate this number for the elementary schools because they don't calculate grades in the same way. So the elementary schools were left out of these numbers. We can only do this for Central and Block because they have grading periods and they have mid grading periods. So that's the number, 4,352. I did say 4,000. I was kind of close, right? Okay. So, and why did I show you all that? Because what I'm showing you all that is for the main reason is that our kids are not logging in like they should, and they're not doing the work. So, of course, if we can find any way possible to get our kids back in the building, as Dr. Browning said, I think that we should be flexible. But once again, my job is to make a recommendation to the board, and the board has the final say-so. But before I make my recommendation to the board, we're going to look at all data points. Okay? So without further ado, if you have any questions, my assistant superintendent will be typing the question, and if I have Robert Garcia here, my transportation director. I have Lenny Francisci, my maintenance director. I have Robert Doctor, my HR director. And I have Tammy Pohl, special ed director. I believe that's it. But if I can't answer the question, I'm sure they can because that's their area, that's their specialty. Oh, and also Sodexo is not here, but we're going to make sure that we continue to provide breakfast and lunch for our kids at the different centers and at the different schools. So lunch and breakfast will continue.
Ms. Wright.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't know if we were going right into the Q&A, or are we going to the people that just signed up? We're not. Only people that are asking questions are the people that signed up for the work session. So
okay.
I have the list. So
okay.
I don't know if you want to. you probably come and have a seat. You probably can answer from your
Okay.
from your desk, because they'll probably use that podium.
Sounds good, no problem.
Okay.
Before that, Ms. Wright, I thought maybe it might be something you want to do, go through like a day of what a child would kind of look like, just, from the pickup, because I know we've gone through the plan, I understand, we adopted this plan, but I think the concern, like, the confusion is what happens if I come to school on this day and, am I riding the bus with two people, am I riding the bus with one, and do I have to wear my uniform? Do I not? I think those are a lot of the little questions that I know for sure we've been getting from family members. So that's why I'm saying, what would a day actually look like? Or even a walker, how does that look for them?
So what would a day look like? So the teacher's student check-in is going to mirror that day. So those parents that are considering the traditional route, when they attend the student-teacher check-in, that day will mirror pretty much their same day. So uniforms, we're not asking right now. We're not asking that kids wear uniforms because, let's be honest, most people have not bought uniforms because they didn't know if we were going to go back to school. So we're not going to require that students wear uniforms. If students have uniforms and the parents want them to wear uniforms, then that's fine, but we're not going to require that. But that student check-in is going to pretty much mirror that traditional day, how it's going to look if we were to go to the green plan.
I know when you discussed with us, you said something about, like, not using the lockers.
No locker use, no. No locker use for elementary kids, but we are going to allow locker use for middle school kids and high school kids because they have big books and they tend to be a little bit more responsible. So we are going to allow book bags for middle school and high school.
I'll just ask the questions later. I thought that's how you could kind of walk through what everything would look like at each level, just because I think those are the little questions that parents are the ones who really want to know. Even teachers this morning, someone asked that question,
So what happened was, we discussed all that with the building principals, and the building principals, took that information down. And, of course, we're going to communicate that information out from the district level, but the building principals will also just communicate that information out. So there's no book bags for elementary, but book bags for middle school, high school. Still no locker use because we don't want kids to congregate up at the lockers. And if we did, when I talked to Mr. Brown about lockers, if we did assign lockers, it would be every 6 lockers. So we're going to socially distance lockers as well. I thought that was kind of cute. But if we do decide to distribute lockers, they will not be consecutive numbers on top of each other. We'll social distance those lockers. Okay, so I'm going to be at my seat, and you all can come up as Mr. Williams call you, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. If I can't answer tonight, I will have an answer for you. Today's Monday. I will have an answer for you posted on the school website Wednesday. Thank you, guys.
Okay, we're going to start the question/comment period. This will be a little bit different than we normally handle our regular public meeting because of the nature of the response that we'll give. Normally in our public meeting, that's an opportunity for you to address the board, but we typically don't reserve the time to have a dialogue. The reason this is a work session is so that we can have that dialogue. So only your question or comment will be limited to 3 minutes. The response time is not included in that. So obviously, I would imagine you can get your question or your comment out in a 3-minute period of time. What's more important is that you get the feedback that you're looking for. That's not timed at all. So I just want to make sure that you all understand that. Obviously, there's a little bit more flexibility because this is a work session, but depending upon the number of people that signed up, we could be here 3-4 more hours too. So we want to try to control it as best we can, but at the same time, give everyone who has signed up to speak the opportunity to ask their question, make their comment, and get a response. Okay. We would also ask, just as we do during our regular meeting, that we not be abusive to the staff or the board. Again, this is an opportunity to engage with one another, share ideas, ask questions, and we're just trying to work together through this process. COVID is difficult enough. We want to make sure that we're all working together in the best interest of the children. That's why we're all here tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Also, our superintendent also spoke that assistant superintendent, Mrs. Goods is here. If you're reluctant to ask your question in public, she has note cards that you can actually fill out that note card. If it's a question or a concern, you can put it on that note card, and you will either hear from either one of them, superintendent, right, or assistant superintendent, or our school board attorney. But the first to speak is Mrs. Helen Stanback.
All right, good evening. Thank you for having this session. It's very beneficial. And first, I'd like to address some of the things that were said by Ms. Wright in her presentation. Yes, the union had a seat at the table from the very beginning, and I appreciated that. For 2 out of those 3 meetings that she listed, we talked about the hybrid plan and what that would look like. And we spent a lot of time talking about that. And she allowed our input. And I think we came up with a really good plan. But then she attended a meeting with the superintendents that she spoke about, and then came back and said, well, we're going to be going full-time green plan, and so now let's make sure that we have everything in order that we needed to have in order. So I just wanted to be clear that we did spend a lot of time talking about that yellow plan, where students would attend 2 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, and then another group of students would come on Thursday and Friday, and that there would be a day in between to sanitize surfaces and clean. Teachers would teach from home. And I thought it was a really good plan, a really good idea. The information that she listed about the high-risk teachers, because that's been one of my concerns from the very beginning. I want to make sure that my teachers are protected as the union president. I know of quite a few teachers that are in a high-risk category, or they have an autoimmune disease or something. And my list is way more than their list. And while they accepted my list and asked me for my input, the meeting that they had today I was not included in that, and I understand it's probably confidentiality and HIPAA and all that. I understand that. But I just want that to be known. And I never saw any of that information from any of the other superintendents. So I just want that to be stated. My question is this. Right now, before COVID, we had trouble finding subs, and this was on my list of questions. We've had many teachers resign, either because they weren't allowed to work from home, or because they found another place to go work where they were allowed to work from home, or just because they felt that their health was in such jeopardy that they decided that they didn't want to work anymore and it wasn't worth their life. So what are we going to do to address the staffing issues that we have if we come back full green plan? Because I'm worried that there's not going to be enough staff to cover the children in the classroom, and where they are getting a licensed, effective teacher to deliver that instruction.
Okay, so Helen, if I can answer that, before sometime this week, we have an idea of how many teachers that are on FCCRA. We have an idea of how many teachers who are going to go on FMLA. So before I make the recommendation to the board, I will sit down with you, Ms. Goods and Mr. Doctor, we'll sit down and we'll discuss how this is going to look. If it's not possible, it's not possible. If we can't manage that, then it's just not possible. You're welcome.
Up next is Mrs. Patty Gibson. You up? Already.
So Helen, I'm thinking I'm thinking maybe Thursday, we should probably have a meeting.
Hi, once
Hi.
again, Patty Gibson King, 4102 Parish Avenue. I have several questions. I know that green plan that you came up with, Mrs. Wright, you never did, it was never implemented. You went right to the red, right?
Yes.
Okay, so is there a reason why it was not implemented?
Oh, the reason why the green plan wasn't implemented, because when we decided that we would possibly go green, that's when we saw the uptick. First, what happened was Portage declared that they were going all virtual. Then another district declared that they were going virtual. So then the pressure for us was to go virtual, and we started looking at the data, and we saw the uptick, so we went to red.
Okay, so the survey that you gave to the parents, 3 questions. How do they feel about their kids coming to school? What about the bus transportation and the eating? Now, was that supposed to have been a survey for the schools to know how many wanted their kids to come back? Because if I'm not mistaken, there were 1,200 parents wanted their kids to come back to school, and 597 said no. So is that how you based the, you went to the red plan?
No, that's not how we based the red plan, but we've given out several surveys. I'm not sure which
Well, I'm
one
just
you-
speaking of the one that I got when I came to the school board meeting.
Oh.
Well, one more thing, can we go
Okay.
back to the grades on that screen there?
Sure, there it is up there.
No,
Yes.
the grades, the Fs
Oh.
and Ds and all of that. Yeah, I want to
Oh,
go back to that screen.
Do you want me to come up and, you get him, Ms. Goods? Is it yes, right, there it is, yes.
Yeah, Now, pretty much Harrison, Lincoln, McKinley, Washington have had these grades for the last 3 years. Okay, so now, what are these state grades or these are
State grades, yes.
Why don't we ever get the federal grades?
The federal grades, well, this year, the federal grades either stated meets expectation, does not meet expectation, exceeds expectation. So this year, they didn't give us a grade. The following year, they did give us a grade, but they're pretty much,
Well, what was that grade they gave y'all?
they're pretty much the same as.
Same thing? And
yeah.
now the district, what's the district grade?
Right now, the district grade from 2019 is a D.
Yes.
Yes.
And then Cary Gosh, preschool, they don't.
They don't get grades, no.
They don't get grades?
No,
Okay,
they don't have an assessment.
okay, well, I had, counselor, in my 3 minutes ain't up yet, it's, okay.
Go ahead.
I don't want you to ring that bell
You're
on me.
good, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so, well, I'll speak with you after.
We have
this
time, go
here.
ahead, I'll
Yeah,
wait.
no, I got,
Okay.
I'll talk about it. Thanks a lot.
Okay, you're
Okay,
welcome. That was your time, sorry. Hey, you knew what time it was, huh? Okay.
Up next would be Mrs. Paulette Tapper.
I had my say earlier.
Okay. After her will be Christina G.W. Williams.
I didn't have room to write the whole thing.
No, it's okay.
All right, hello again. Thank you for sharing that information. I guess one of the concerns, well, a few of the concerns that I still have, I know we talked about effective communication. So I know you said prior to you posted something 2 months ago. I looked at it, it only has about 1,000 views. And I mean, I'm just wondering if we're considering that effective, right? Those are the things that we have to measure. We can't just say we've pushed information out and really not been effective in doing that. So I guess that's one of my concerns. And then I guess I have to scroll down to see that. So it needs to be present and available for everyone to access it. That's the biggest concern. It's not whether there is a plan in place, it's ensuring that everyone knows the plan. And so hearing this, it still sounds like there are questions in regards to what happens about a sibling who has COVID. And then you have one kid who's at the high school and then a kid at the elementary school. Do both of those students quarantine?
Yes.
Okay, so that's information that I think should probably be accessible to parents. These are things that they have concerns about, right? You talked about having robocalls. I've had parents call me and say that their robocalls were in a language that they don't speak at the home. That's not effective communication. So these are the things that I think have to be addressed so that we can really make sure that all our stakeholders are in line. I believe in the importance of getting our students in school. I know the importance of education. What I'm saying is let's do it safely, let's do it effectively, let's do it appropriately. Let's have all the stakeholders, as we are today, sitting here doing this, but we shouldn't be doing this 2 weeks before school is supposed to start. That's the concern. How do we get these practices into place prior to school starting? So that's all I wanted to say. One more thing, big thing that I always talk about, school to prison pipeline. I'm concerned if we get these kids in school, we're talking about sit straight forward. You can't throw anything away until you ask. Don't socialize with anyone next to you. Do you know what that does to a student's social emotional learning? These are the things we have to consider before we put these kids back in school. So that's all I have. Thank you so much.
So, Ms. White, and I'm going to give you a copy of this. I'm gonna give it to you as a gift.
Website. Everybody can see
It was on the website, but I'm going to give you a copy. It was on the website, but here on the last page, it did talk about the social emotional of our students. So here,
Is it on the website now? Because I just looked. No, it's not on there.
Okay, but
right.
We'll put it back up there, but you can have this copy if you want. It's
That'd
yours.
be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Up next will be D'Angelo Coles.
There you go. You're welcome.
Okay, so my question is, just kind of looking at the grades for the last few years, the question is, what type of interventions have we implemented to try to increase these grades? Has there been a program that you guys have truly looked at for data purposes to try to increase these grades? So what's the problem from 2016 up until now? Why are the grades still looking the same in our district? How will we raise these grades as a district?
Okay, that's a good question, D'Angelo. As you know, I just took this job last September. Actually, I've been a year on the job. So before COVID, we had started to implement some strategic plans in place where we had district-level instructional strategies. Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to show what progress we had made because we had COVID, but we do have a strategic plan in place that is aligned to our school goals. Absolutely, we do. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity to show you all what we have done because I'm positive that we're going to make some great strides in improving these grades.
Now, I know you say you just got here, so I guess this kind of doesn't fall in your lap, but what is the program that you guys have been using for the last 3 years? What program is that?
Well, last year was the first year we implemented our new ARC program, which is a reading series, and that was the program that I inherited. So that's the reading program. I'm getting different reviews on that program, but we spent a lot of money on it, and so we're going to be looking at how we can make the best out of a bad situation. So I'm getting mixed reviews on ARC, I'm not sure. We have Canvas, which is our new online management system, where the kids can go in, not only use Canvas for e-learning, but we can use Canvas for instructional purposes for those kids who are absent for homework purposes. We also implemented iReady, which is a diagnostic a tool that would tell us where the kids are and what skills they need and how to get them there. So that's iReady. So, and our building principals are required to do 3 to 4 walkthroughs, so they're pushing in the classrooms more. That's mandatory. We monitor that even in the midst of e-learning. Last year, I monitored that before COVID. Wednesday readings, yes, to improve our literacy. Wednesday readings, when our students read across the curriculum, even in science, that builds their literacy skills. Ms. Goods. Oh, you're working, okay. It's a lot we're working on, but what I will tell you is that district-wide, we have the same initiatives because we want to be consistent in our efforts. So that walkthrough is critical. Mm-hmm. And they have to provide, building principals have to provide feedback on those walkthroughs because, and the buildings, Helen told me last year, I hate to put you on the spot, Helen, but she told me teachers don't want people in their classrooms all the time because we were in the classrooms. Because our goal is to support the teachers instructionally to make sure that they are getting better. So we will continue the walkthroughs when we go back to school. The building principals now are doing electronic walkthroughs. I have Barb Barona's, I have even been in her class electronically a couple times, right, Barb? So I just pop in and see what she's doing. So we can actually do walkthroughs electronically. It's kind of cool, I'm just saying. So we want to make sure instructionally that our teachers are focusing on small group instruction, formative assessment, and rigor, and checking for understanding.
And I have to piggyback off of her, what is being done, which hasn't been done in a long time, is that we are continuing to not work in pods. I think our principals are doing a great job of, because we have so many transient students, so when they move from one side to another side, or however have you, they lose that knowledge, or they regress, or some schools might be ahead and others might not. So then they are now working, or they're all working together. And if I'm not mistaken, we've been through many presentations where every child is the point of how we're going to improve. And I think that's actually being implemented and done now. We've heard about it, but this past year, as this year, is now actually happening. And you could tell within our teachers and our principals, they're actually talking about it. So I think that's very important.
So, and I was just going to say earlier, part of our school letter grades is based on proficiency on an assessment that has now changed to test students on a deeper understanding of content. So what we have to do to respond to that is to up the rigor. And in increasing the rigor in the classroom, we want to have more STEM-based instruction, science, technology, engineering, and math, more hands-on instruction, more opportunities for students to demonstrate, create, think, be able to present. Some of those collaborative skills that they're going to need for lifelong learning, we want to make sure that they're able to have those experiences in the classroom so that when they sit down and take an assessment, it's more than just rote memory and regurgitation. It's really about them being able to think through a process and problem solve.
Now, are we willing to look at other school districts that have passing grades and excelling grades to kind of adopt their policy, not policy, but their programs and what they're using to keep their grades up afloat? Are we willing to look at other districts to adopt for our own district to get our grades up as well, along with what you just said?
Of course, we're always going to be willing to look at other districts and collaborate. But I believe that with the team that I have and with the work that we are going to put into our teachers in our schools, I believe we can move the district. Also, that art program is pretty costly. So we can't just say right now, oh, well, we're not going to focus on art. That was a very costly program. So right now, I'm going to say we're going to have to work with what we have, and we're going to have to just do the best that we can. But absolutely, those instructional strategies, we can always look to see what other districts are doing, but we also have to be cognizant of the fact that the other districts, we have to look at their demographics like we look at ours. Because I can look at, I would just give you a case in point, Maryville. A lot of people say, well, just go look at Maryville, but their demographics is much different than ours. Their socioeconomic status, the level of two-parent households, the number of parents that have college degrees. So it's easy to say, but we have to dive deeper into looking at a district very similar to us. But of course, all kids learn, all kids are the same, but that parent piece is critical. That parent piece is critical because when you get parents that are involved in those kids' education, they tend to do well. So we can't just say, look at the ethnicity of a district and say, oh, we're like them, because we're not.
To add on, Ms. Wright, she did, when she talks about parents, that has been addressed multiple times. That's why she did the parent university, and at one point, it was going to be a quarterly thing. I know she was working with myself on doing like an adult ed 101 for our students until COVID hit, because we wanted to give them more option of learning after adulthood. But I also wanted to say, with the changing of the year, and correct me if I'm wrong saying this, Helen, we had curriculum that changed year to year. We did ARC, but the year before that, we did something else that was new in the year. So there was like about 3 years, correct? So unfortunately, that's what our superintendent at the time gave us that information. This is what she recommended we adopted, but that's what they felt was the best at that time. So I think that's another reason to add to those numbers or those grades. So it's totally different. She's trying to stay consistent and rather than go back and forth. Am I right?
Consistency is a big issue here in East Chicago because we would try something for 2 years and then we'd say, no, we'll try something else. 2 years later, we'll try something else. 2 years later, somebody else will come in and sit in this seat and they'll say, we're not doing any of that. So that's an issue. That's just an issue with consistency in the district.
So how long would it take for you all to realize that certain things don't work? I know you said maybe 2 years here, 2 years there, but what is the expectation? Are you looking at 3 years, maybe 5-year cap, just to see if a program actually works for our students?
I can't wait 2 years.
You said you can't wait 2 years?
I can't wait 2 years, no.
So less than 2 years?
So I'm looking for growth year one.
Mm-hmm.
We have to make some type of growth. And the way we know how the formula works, we can get the growth. We can improve our grades by improving the growth of our students. That's how we improve our grades. Because it takes about 3 years before a kid becomes proficient if they're not proficient, depending on how low they are. But we can get points based from growth. So no, 2 or 3 years is too long for me.
Okay. Last question,
I'm
I promise.
aggressive.
Last question. You know what? I just forgot. It just jumped out of my head. But thank you all. I appreciate it.
Okay.
I'm gonna piggyback off of what Ms. Goods do. What Ms. Wright said. I think we pay attention to what the letter grade is, but if you can tell, and I know we just adopted our
Thank you.
our school improvement plans.
Yes.
And you can see on those charts that each principal presented that we seen growth from where we were 2 years ago to where we are now. So the letter grades by far is what we're judged on, but growth is much more important in order for us to see those great things changes. So
Absolutely.
I have to agree with Trustee Williams. Everybody's making comments about growth and grades. We had started on a path of improvement. And I think and I know that we were a very good team. We worked together. Unfortunately, this unforeseen situation happened right at the point where Ms. Wright took her place. Prior to that, there was a lot of things that had to be cleaned up. Ms. Wright came in, did the best she could. Next thing you know, the pandemic happened. So I'm just saying this. I know everybody has all these ideas on what if, woulda, coulda, shoulda. But right now, from the beginning of this pandemic until this point, once again, I'm going to say this. From the bottom of my heart, this is not an easy situation for anybody. It is not a quick fix. It is something that is a trial and error. And we all, as a community, as a board, and as teachers and principals, should not be held accountable for things that are not going your way. It's not going any of our way. But who is losing is our children. Our children are losing. I don't want them to go back to school because of the pandemic, but I don't want them to be behind 3 years because of the pandemic, because we've made a decision that we don't want to have our kids back in because of the COVID. You go everywhere else. You do everything else. This is the way of life. Whether you want to believe it or not, this is the way it's going to be about for the next 10 or 15 years, if maybe even longer. And the way that I see that the situation and the world is going with education, virtual is going to be here. They're just trying to phase this out. And if you don't see that now, I don't understand.
But we're doing the best that we possibly can, all the school districts. Some districts have more revenue, tax base, and some don't. So I'm just saying right now, she came in, strong-armed to turn these grades around, pandemic. So what you gonna do? What you gonna do? Either we're gonna get behind her, support her, and support us as a community, or we're gonna keep complaining. So with that, I'm done with it. I want my kids back in school. Because see, I see them walking down the street all day, doing nothing. I asked them, are you doing your e-learning? No. Why not? I don't want to. They need it. Some of these kids, this is the only safe haven that they have. This is the only safe haven that they have. And some kids need a one-on-one. So with all of this going on and everybody talking about this, that, and the other, it's about the babies. It's about our kids. I get it. I deal with COVID victims every day, but that's a chance I have to take. But my kids, my children, this community, they need to be back in school to learn. So if we try it, it fails, we pick it up, we try something else. So let's just all come together. With all these questions, there is no real answer. There is no real answer. So let's all come together and stop pity-patting with all of this little bitty thing, and let's work together and try to make this thing work. All of this is just unnecessary. Let's come together, and I know they took prayer out of school. Let's pray, cover them in the blood, send them to school, do whatever we got to do to bring them together. Their education, they need their education. This is what they want us to do. They want urban schools to fail. Do some research. Urban schools, inner city schools. You can have all of the technology that we can present here. And we can put all this money here. But if we don't come together as a community, black and brown kids are not going to succeed. And I'm done with it.
Up next is Mrs. Barbara Barones. That's me. All righty.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. I love that we're able to work together and hopefully come up with some solutions, because you're right, our children deserve it. They deserve the best that we have to give. But we also have to make sure that we have safety precautions in place for the students, the community, and the teachers. So my question is, I know you said that the numbers are about half that we're wanting to return into class, and half that we're going to stay home. So how are we going to do that virtually? How is the teacher, what's the responsibility going to be on the teacher?
The responsibility of the teacher will be to teach every student in his or her classroom.
And
so if we're working out the framework.
Okay.
We're meeting with the building principals Thursday, and we're going to show the building principals what it's going to look like, so then they can teach you all.
Okay.
Yes.
And then are the hours going to be the same as the check-in, or are the hours going to be the same as a regular school day?
It's going to be the same as a regular school day, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then technology, I know we said we received the grant.
Yes.
For lots of new
Yes.
computers, devices, whatever. Do we know when those are coming?
Well, they're going to be in the end of October, beginning of November. Yes,
And
George ordered about 1,500 Chromebooks, because we have the money.
Awesome, that's fantastic. Whoever was in charge of that grant, I
Yes.
appreciate it.
Yes.
Does that include new devices for the teachers, or is that just for students?
But we only ordered for the students, sorry.
Okay.
Right.
No, I understand. I'm just, because I know like a lot of teachers are having problems with their computers, and if
Yes.
we're responsible for
Right.
doing things virtually and we have a computer that's dying or that's not
Right.
working, or that's not, we're giving a student computer to use in the meantime.
Right.
Those things don't have the things that a teacher computer has, so I just want to make sure that we are fully prepared to take care of that. And does this technology grant include Promethean boards or just devices for students?
I believe it's just devices. So Ms. Baronis, what I will say is that, as usual, if you have an issue with technology, you email your building principal, and your building principal will email our technology director, and this summer, and we'll make sure that you get the devices that you need. But right now, we want to make sure that our kids have the technology that they need to work either virtually or
Absolutely.
traditionally. Not that we don't think about you all, but we have to make sure that.
No, I
you know,
understand that, but I
yes.
just wanted to ask that question
Right,
because,
yes,
it's important,
Right.
especially if, with the numbers that we have,
Right,
and we're gonna be responsible for doing both, then
right,
we also have to have the technology that enables us to do our jobs the best
Right.
that we can.
absolutely, absolutely,
And that's all we want.
absolutely.
And I know this is probably a question that's not really super important, but where are the teachers gonna be eating when the kids are back in class? Because the lounges aren't
I get-
conducive to social distancing. There's usually about at least 8 teachers or more that have lunch at the same period. So we need to find spaces for them.
Well, right now, the first thing that comes to mind, but I'll have to think about this, but the first thing that comes to mind will be the student cafeteria.
Okay,
Because since students are going to be eating in the classrooms,
Correct.
I'm just guessing.
that's not a
yes,
bad idea because
yes.
it's a big cafeteria,
Right,
so that
yes.
we would be spaced out.
As long as you all make sure you social distance, one at a table, and you're not on top
Well,
of
I know
each-
like during this time, I don't
okay.
eat with anybody but
Okay.
myself, so.
Okay,
Thank you, I appreciate
Okay.
your time and your concern.
yes,
Right,
absolutely.
to piggyback off her question, when the teachers are gone from the classroom though, who's gonna be in those classrooms?
We're working out that schedule of who's going to provide. Well, in the elementary schools, teachers have, the kids have specials. So the building principals can work out a schedule, whereas if the specials teachers are in class, then the primary teachers could be taking a lunch hour. Correct?
Where's our prep?
We'll work all that out. But we'll work it out. It has to be worked out because contractually, I owe you all a prep and a lunch hour. And I already know that if I don't provide that, Ms. Steinbeck will be,
Knocking at your door.
and she'll be at my office door, so. Right, I will never make a plan where I did not include those 2 items in the school day. So once again, if it cannot happen, we'll make it happen if we go to the green plan.
Much appreciated.
Yes.
Thank you.
Up next would be Stephanie Rayner.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Reyna. I'm not only a teacher in East Chicago, I am also a community member. One of my main concerns is like the students that we're not able to reach. What are we doing to try and reach them? Not all of the caregivers are parents. Some of them are grandparents, great-grandparents, great aunts, great uncles, and they don't know how to access the SCEC website. And some of their numbers are not listed. And we know that our parents are supposed to update that information. But I know that in the past, we've used billboards for certain things, and I just feel like that type of information needs to go out, I don't know, to the community so that the kid who hasn't logged on, I can't breathe out there, and I have like auditory overload back there. Like, how can we reach those students that haven't logged on at all?
So that's a good question. So what's happening is every day, when kids are not logging in, the dean and one of the administrators are calling home. And when we hear that the parents do not know how to log on, sometimes we walk them through the login process, or we guide them to the self-help desk that's on the school website. So
Okay.
that is a good question.
I understand that, and I think like most of the information is on the website. But I do have the students, like Miss Reyna, I went online and I couldn't find it, or my parents concerned with, they didn't sign me up for virtual, now what's going to happen, we missed the deadline. And my answer is always, just call. If I don't have the answer and I can't get it, I will ask it. But I do want, excuse me, to say that our principal is doing a great job. Sometimes they get passed up. Our evaluators are doing great jobs. Hopefully, we do have all the supplies. Most of the questions that I had written down, Ms. Barone has asked them, so good thing she did all that. But hopefully, we do have the supplies needed. The good thing I want to share with you all is that a lot of teachers are hoarders, so we have tons of Germex and all kind of cleaning supplies in our closet already from last year and the year before accumulated. So we will try our best to protect the children that we teach.
Ms. Rain, I just wanted to, we didn't actually touch base on the communication part, but I know we have been discussing with Ms. Wright on multiple occasions, how can we reach the student? Because it has not been done completely. I even brought up, I mean, I know, because I used to work with Dwayne at Boost. We buy a new Boost phone every 2 to 3 days, 2 to 3 months. So I think we all need to just make sure we talk to our students, our students within the classroom, but I think and I've explained this to her, a lot of people just don't look at their phone only when it's a text message. I, as a parent, don't even listen to all the robocalls because some of them are redundant. Absolutely, I do not. After I hear it once and you call me 2 other times, it's not gonna happen. And I know that if we were able to see a text message, and I know they're working on that, but I think those are key things that could happen. The canvassing emails, I think that needs to be happening. There's so much that you could use on there. Google Classroom, they all have emails that we can start, using. And I think, I hear you, not everyone's on the website. And more importantly, not everyone knows to go to this tab to put it in Spanish. So those are questions we have been asking on how can we fix it, because you are 1,000% right. Ms. Guerrero also said the same thing, 1,000% right. How are we getting out to the community? And I mean, you can't really put flyers anywhere because not everybody's going out in the community to do stuff. I'm begging you teachers to please get your information out to your students as much as possible.
I think it's just hard when you have, I have like 150 something students. I have taken 3 days to call 75 parents in a row. And I do it during my lunch, during my prep, after school, and it makes me sad knowing that there's children out there that we're not reaching. So I just hope that somehow that will get solved, because there are students that unfortunately are not found because we can't get a hold of them.
What about like a water bill, or is there something that they get from the community, like a water bill or something that not accessible, but somehow.
So the truancy program, for those students who are not logging in, and those students who are chronically absent, the truancy officers are going to their doors.
Okay.
So they are making some form of a contact. They're going to their doors.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Alrighty, up next will be Mrs. Linda Celestine.
Okay, Linda Celestine, Lincoln School, born and raised here in East Chicago. In July, this subject has come up several times, and I still think it needs to be heard over and over because it's important. When we came back to school in July, we were told that people who were high risk, had high-risk illnesses, and would get some kind of accommodations when we came into school in August. When we came into school in August, no, nothing. We asked, because I fall into that category, we asked, can we Well, let me take it back a step. Last semester of the last year, we worked virtually from home. It seemed to have worked well. I worked 7 hours a day on my computer at home. When we came back in August, a bunch of us just asked, why can't we just stay at home and work from home? And we were told absolutely not. We've been going back and forth. When you talk about some of these resignations of teachers, some of those were teachers who just finally said, I gotta stay home. All they wanted to do was work from home. Now we're saying that 50% of our kids coming back are gonna be virtual, 50% traditional. Why can't some teachers teach the virtual kids from home? We are professionals, we are educated, we know what we're doing. Why can't we work from home? What did that one school say? Take it or leave it, retire, get out. I mean, that's not the answer. Why can't they work from home? I guess that's been my question since the first day of school. As a matter of fact, because of this, I had planned to come back. This was going to be my last year. I was going to go out with a bang. Well, now I'm going to go out with a bang because I'm going to go out because I'm not going to come to school because all I was told was, I said, you know, I got health issues here. Can I work from home? No, just go stay in your room. Okay, I'm going to stay in my room at home. Anyway, I don't think this should be an issue that should be swept under the rug. I really don't. We've lost too many teachers already, including me. Okay. The other thing is, there's been several cases of teachers with COVID. I understand the issue of confidentiality and all that. But what is the protocol? We asked this at a meeting last week. What is the protocol? Can we at least know what's going on? What should happen? You know, do you tell the other teachers, just in general, you know, there's somebody in this area? Or
Sorry, Mrs.
what is the
Celestine.
protocol? There are no written protocols.
Ms. Celestine, that's your time. I guess you can give Ms. Wright an opportunity to ask some of the questions that you answered.
Okay.
But that was your 3 minutes, ma'am. Thank you.
So, Ms. Celestine, as you all know, you know that you sit in on our meetings weekly, and Mr. Doctor, a few of them I have sat in on, and some of them I have not. But here's the thing: when whatever rule we make for one, we must make it for all. And as we stated earlier, we went through the list of high-risk teachers. And we determined, Ms. Bobo looked at the documentation, and we determined who was really technically considered high risk. So if we want to be kind of honest about it, I'm considered high risk. So I think I've explained this, you know, every week, or someone has explained it every week. I'll be more than willing to talk to you again about it, but
I don't think a teacher allowed to stay home and work from home is an exception. It's a need. It's, I keep asking you, why not?
and every time you ask me, I tell you.
Yeah, there's no exceptions. That's what you say. Okay, just want everybody to know. As a matter of fact, and then you mentioned something about you've been having meetings with high risk, 4 high risk and 4 possible. Now, I know Ms. Bobo must be a very good nurse and you're a very good superintendent, but my endocrinologist is a specialist and considers me high risk, as I have been identified as high risk. I haven't been asked to any meetings. I haven't been asked for any information as to what accommodation might be made. So I'm just wondering, what's the deal there?
So we'll take a look at it again tomorrow, Ms.
Please,
Celestine.
please do.
Yes, we will.
And Superintendent Wright, if I could, I'd like to work with you on that as well in terms of the high risk.
Mhm.
individuals, and possibly if Dr. Browning is willing to help with us as well, if we could do just a second review, just so everyone's comfortable with the process and know that everyone participated. I think that would make everyone feel a little bit more comfortable.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Alrighty, Mr. Kenny Monroe.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Just got a question. The literature that you put up, Ms. Wright,
Yes.
that you submitted, did the board okay it?
The plans?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. To let everybody know. I really just have another question. When you're giving a lecture, if it's in Maryville, California, do anybody interrupt the lecture? And the board let that happen? You never interfere with a lecture, and you let it happen again. Start thinking for yourself. That's it.
Coach Monroe, just to add to that, this right here, we didn't have, but the return to learn plan, yes, we have had. But this right here, we've never looked at, we've discussed in executive session some of the stuff that was on here, but we've never seen.
But you let it be presented, though.
I'm sorry?
You should be voting on it before it's presented.
This right here was never presented to us. We're not voting on this. This was just a summary
I mean,
of what.
talk about it. You brought it up in front of people.
Well, we brought it up because there was a concern of the community and the staff and everyone. 'Cause
And you
they
couldn't get
were-
clarification in another meeting with you guys?
I'm sorry?
Should you bring it up or should you not?
What, this?
Yeah.
We,
The return to learn plan was for the community, so they would have understanding in regards to what's the plan moving forward. We don't have, we're still in virtual learning, and what we wanted the community to know is this will be the plan going forward. So this is why the question and answer situation took place today.
Sounds good. Everything needs to be tweaked. I understand that. But I'm just talking about presenting it. You should be better aware of what you're doing.
So that I'm clear, the Return to Learn plan was board approved July 6th. That's the one Ms. White has in her hand, right? Am I right, Helen? Yeah, that was board approved. That was board approved, and we had an executive session to discuss that Return to Learn plan. So that was board approved. Then, when we decided that we were going to go red, the red was included in the Return to Learn plan that I originally submitted.
Okay. Everybody is sure about red plan. Red is virtual learning.
Red is virtual learning. Okay, so when we did the Return to Learn program, it was like a stoplight. Green means that we go back to school traditionally. We go back like we never had COVID, but we put some safety precautions in it. The yellow was the caution. That's when we said we would have a team A, team B, 2 days. Kids went in on Monday, Tuesday. 2 days, kids went in Thursday, Friday, and Wednesday, which we never implemented that plan. That was never one in thought. The red plan, which is the virtual plan, that plan also was presented at a school board meeting, and it was voted on. So all this was discussed. It's just that we took out components of it and used it for the specific time based on the data. But it was all explained and it was all board approved.
and Ms. Wright, just to add on to, yes, all the plans were done, but there is some questions that, I mean, realistically, when you read the plan. There's questions. Right, it's not something that, protocol for stuff. And I think this is why we're doing this, just because of those.
I understand that, but what I took offense to was the fact that, it was stated that we never had a plan. And I know for a fact that we spent countless hours on that plan. I would never lead a district and not have a plan. So, that was kind of offensive to me when I knew that we had a plan. We had a plan. We've been working the plan. We've been tweaking the plan. If you all knew the amount of time that Ms. Goods and I spend on the plan, the red plan, the Return to Learn plan, we spend countless hours. So I was just a little taken back by you know, it was put out that we never had a plan. We always had a plan.
And I think,
Can
I'm,
you clarify
and there,
that? I don't think that it was stated that there was, I'm so sorry,
Yeah.
I don't really know what's going on in this session, but I just wanna make it clear, I didn't say that there wasn't a plan, I said that there wasn't an effective communication for this plan. And so that is the problem that we're seeing, the problem where people are still
hold on,
having these
I think,
questions.
I got, because technically, so wait. So let me just say this like this, and we're gonna, just move on in defense of
Thank
the
you, so I can
superintendent.
talk.
Yes, there was a plan. We all approved and agreed on the plan. And the reason why we're having this discussion today with questions and other people could ask the questions or given to the superintendent because of the fact that there has been some questions within the words that are saying, yes, she's saying it's return, yes, we have that. I get it, but she knows, I think we all sat there and felt like there was tweaks that needed to be done, and not everything is actually written out to the detail of what is supposed to happen within the plan. So I agree with Ms. Wright in the sense that there has been a plan done, and it's just how we're getting the plan out to individuals in the community as well as staff and so forth. And it's still a tweak, and this is why we're having these questions, so that now the questions that were asked by people, we could go back. Ms. Wright could say, oh, well, you know what, we're only having 20 people at this point in time, or maybe the high-risk people are, you're gonna look at it differently. I don't know, but this is why we're here with this. So I agree, Ms. Wright, we did approve, you are correct. This is just those approvals. We're just kind of trying to find what it is between that.
I don't think it's been made clear also that in Ms. Wright, you might be able to piggyback a little bit more in details on how this transpired. I want to say in the very beginning of registration, parents were asked, do you want to be traditional or do you want to be virtual?
Yep.
Now, those are the numbers that Ms. Wright showed you on in regards to how many kids would be coming back to school, how many kids that's going to stay virtual. So we're not opening the doors on October the 19th and say there's a free for all, every kid is coming back. Those parents made those decisions on if those kids was going to stay virtual or would they go back to traditional learning. Am I correct? I don't know if that's been stated.
You are correct, and even we gave them an opportunity to change it if they wanted to, and I think the deadline was September 30th. So we even went back and say, okay, well, you know, we know you committed in August, but if you would like to change, you need to do so by September 30th, because once we form our teacher groups, it's kind of set in stone. So, but here's the thing, the plan, when you develop a plan, you provide the guidance, and then the building administrators, we have been collaborating and talking to the building administrators. So the little small things that may have been answered, it was going to be answered. It's just that someone just jumped on the bandwagon and said we didn't have a plan, and I think it started catching fire like, oh, they don't have a plan. We always had a plan, and those little tweaks, it's just a matter of talking to the building principal. The building principal will communicate out, no, you don't have to wear uniforms. We sat in the meeting and said that. No, you don't have to bring book bags. We sat in the meeting and said that. So what I want to get this district to do is, and I've talked about this several times, follow chain of command. If your building principal has that plan, knows that plan, has been in meetings with Ms. Goods and I and all the other teams, they can answer those simple questions. But when you all go straight to the union, oh, we don't have this, we don't have that. Then they go straight to a board member, we don't have this and we don't have that. And they come straight to me. It's all out of whack. Ms. White, you're talking about effective communication? Effective communication means following chain of command. Because if we don't learn to follow chain of command, and let me be the superintendent, and you all the teachers talk to their building principals, and the building principals talk to Ms. Goods, and Ms. Goods talk to me, we're always going to have some communication issues. So, and I'm not fussing, but I just want to see us, because we spend a lot of time being counterproductive on what he say, she say, and they go straight to the top, and they don't even follow chain of command, and things just get all out of order when we can spend our time on student academic achievement.
I'm actually gonna, end this meeting because,
Hey,
we're going
I
into
didn't
something.
finish. You can't
Oh,
cut
I'm
me
sorry,
out.
I thought you were done, because she did, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, y'all just took over.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, go
And
ahead.
I ain't got much to say. Y'all said it all. But I'm gonna go with Mr. Williams on explaining a little better to you guys of what's being done with the project. Thank you, Pete. But accountability means a lot. Because it's our kids, our teachers, food service, everything. But there is a structure of going through steps. You can't keep jumping over the superintendent and hide your hands. You can't keep doing it. Respect, respect, respect. Thank you.
Okay, so it is late, it's 8:30. I know I have a bunch of questions that was given to the attorney was gonna give it to our superintendent. So we'll make sure to give those to her so that she can in turn put the answers on our, website with it on, by Wednesday. And the questions that are in the pink box, if we get any, she'll also answer by Wednesday. I think that's it. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Oh, we have a student that wants to speak, so I'm sorry, I have to allow her to come up and speak. Yes, absolutely.
Oh, God. Okay. Good evening. My name is Ariana Vargas. I'm a junior student at UC Central. I am on the girls soccer team and I am in the National Honor Society. I'm pretty nervous because I wasn't expecting to come up here. But I do understand everything you guys are saying about us going back to school, which is an option and everything. But my concern is like I wasn't for sure if I was gonna go for the check-in on Friday because of my last name. So like, how is it gonna go? Like, are you gonna take temps? Are you gonna are we gonna walk in a straight line? Is it like, I know me, I'm an adventurous person, so I like to do things and like have fun with it. So I know I could still kind of do that with everything going on, but I'm actually concerned if it's like gonna be a little bit less boring. You know how like my kids my age are like, oh my God, school is boring and all that other crap. But I want to know like, how is it gonna affect us? Like, is it gonna be like, oh, you can't talk to your friend or you can't like have a discussion or like, how are you guys gonna deal with that, like being separated and everything?
That is the best question of the night, and I remember you from Block, so I know. So we want you to talk. I mean, socialization is very important. However, Adriana, you just have to make sure that you wear your mask, and you have to practice social distancing. Safety is our number one. We want you all to do everything that you normally would have done. And I know this is probably more difficult on you all than it is the teachers and us, because this is what you all do. You miss your friends, you want to be around your friends, you haven't seen your friends, even though you may FaceTime, you talk to them on the phone, but nothing, being a teenager is being social. Okay,
Yeah.
I get that.
And like right now, since me doing soccer, it's been like my mom's been kind of like leery about me going, but we have been taking precautions, and that's like my safe haven right now because I have been at home doing virtual, and like it's been kind of difficult because I haven't been like learning anything. Like it will stick to me for like a day or two, take a quiz, and then we move on to a new topic. It doesn't like stay with me until the unit test, or like I have to like study and study, and it's so much more pressure. So I feel like virtual, yeah, it's a good thing, we're all social distancing, but I feel like it's not 100% as effective as what a school. But that's only my opinion. I don't know if anybody else, like my other friends, are like feeling different. But I feel that like virtual learning is not very effective towards me, and especially towards my little brother. He's 8th grade at Block. He's been having difficulties. Like I have to tell him and get on him. As a big sister, I'm like, come on, you gotta do it. I don't want you to fail. You're probably gonna graduate. I don't know yet, but you're gonna go to high school and it's gonna be a little more different. So I just wanted to like get more clarifications on how it's gonna be for us. Like,
Are we gonna go in, sit down, eat lunch in our classrooms? Or I heard a rumor about us having like 3 lunches, like A lunch, B lunch, and C lunch. So I don't know if that's gonna be taken in or not. I also want to know about transportation. Are we all gonna go through the same door, or are there gonna be more doors open? Oh, excuse me. Are there gonna be more doors open for us to walk through? Are we gonna be like walking in a straight line, or like this hallway you can't go through, this hallway you can? Bathrooms, what's the issue with the bathrooms? Are we gonna use those? So as a student, I just have a lot of questions, so.
So please show up as teacher, student check-in, but let me address, okay, so from the time you get on the bus, so you ride the bus to school, right?
I get dropped off by my
Okay, so you
boss.
get dropped off, so you will probably go through door W, I'm just guessing. Because the walkers are gonna go through a different door, the bus riders are gonna go through a different door, and the car riders are gonna go through a different door. So everybody is gonna go through a different door. And you already know how Central is made, everybody congregates where? In the commons area.
Yeah.
We just ask that you have on your mask and you practice social distancing. It's unreasonable for us to think that you will not talk to your friends. It's pretty much unreasonable for us to think that you're not gonna hug your friends because you haven't seen some of them since March. We
Yeah.
get it, I get it, I promise you I get it. Because I would be just like you, struggling doing e-learning. But we just wanna make sure that you all are practicing social distancing within reason. And I'll tell you the story, I was at Lake Central couple weeks ago, and I was peeking in classrooms because I wanted to see what they were doing because they're in school. They were just normal kids with a mask on. They were doing the same things that any other kids would do. The only thing is that they had on a mask. So you will have 3 lunch hours, and the reason why you have 3 lunch hours is because we cannot have a lot of kids congregate in the same place. We can't have 500 kids on lunch hour in cafeteria 1. You know how that looks, right?
Yeah, that's
Okay, so we want you all to be as normal as possible in these circumstances. So no, we don't want you all to act like robots. We just want you all to be safe and to wear the mask. And at times when it's appropriate, you take it off. I haven't had on a mask for more than 10 minutes, but I'm social distancing. So according to CDC guidelines, I'm good. But anyway, what else did I not add? So bus transportation comes through a different door, walkers, you have your same class, you wear your mask, you keep your distance, was it?
Can you explain to her why we sending them through 3 different doors?
Okay, so
Because
what?
there's temperature checks. Okay,
Yes.
go.
Well, I'm sending you through 3 different doors because you know how Central is early in the morning when everyone gets off the bus and everybody comes through door W.
Yeah, it's
You
like
know what happens,
crowded.
right? Woo, right? So we can't do that because, everybody's congregating, everybody's on top of each other. So we have to spread you all out a little bit. So that's why. We don't want that mass congregation because somebody may not wear a mask. So we just trying to make sure that you all come to school, be teenagers, but at the same time, we want you to be safe. So that's why you come through different doors. So Adriana, I would highly recommend that you attend the check-in, check-out, because that's going to give you an idea of what school is going to look like if we were to go back to the green plan. Okay?
Okay.
You do not have to wear a uniform, so that's a woohoo, right?
A little bit,
You'll get a chance to see your teachers. We're going to have directional arrows in the hallways, one-way arrows in the hallway. We just want to make sure that you're safe, but we want you back in the building just for a check-in to see how this goes. And you might find out this is kind of like cool. I can do this, or you might just want to say I prefer to stay at home. But me knowing you, I think you're going to show up every day. So A through M is Wednesday, and N through Z is next Wednesday. So there's great possibilities that you want to see some of your friends, depending on what your last name is. But if we do go back to school with the green plan, you will see your friends at least 4 days out of a week. Any other questions you have for me?
Can I say something?
Sure.
Ms. Wright? My name is Miss Tellez.
Okay.
I'm Ariana's mom. I've listened to all of you speak tonight, the concerned staff, the board, thank you for doing this, for doing what you do, because you take on a lot of responsibility with everyone, and their concerns. But it has to be all in all with everyone together, because I've sat here and watched everybody pretty much attack each other these last few months, and it is about our children, because they are our future. And these children are just as afraid as what we are as adults, but when you look into past history that we teach our children now, what everyone has been through, the 20s, the 30s, 40s, going into 60s, into current, there have been a lot of trials and tribulations throughout that time to where we need to continue to teach our children, such as what they are going to undergo when they go back to school, that has not been discussed. Now you have all the racialism that has been going on. I listen and I watch this social media with students that go together that were friends, that target each other right now. Well, you're white. That person is not white, they're Latin. But you have that racialism. So together, we need to come together and we need to stay strong and not be attacking one another, because this is our future. This is where we're going. And on that, I just want to thank you all again for listening to one another, because it's not only about here. We have a whole community out there in East Chicago. And as a parent, I'm already discussing, me and my daughter discussed about bringing other parents together that are willing to come together. So this way, when that hurdle comes, which it's going to come, that we're already prepared for all of this, at least the best that we can. So it's not only the pandemic, it's everything wrapped in together. And my children are the ones that I look forward to guiding into the future, to be a voice for everyone else, including the children that stay a part of our family. And that's a lot of the children in this community and other communities. So I thank you for giving her your time, and that you all have a good day.
Thank you. Great way to end the meeting.
Good night. Good job, young lady.